The Sua'ali'i situation getting a little bit ugly. The rugby union boss has questioned the Roosters' salary cap, and he's also said that he'll take him now. They've got the money to have him now, but do the Roosters really want to let him go?
Well, the conversations, I think, being had behind closed doors. Certainly, there's elements of the Roosters. Well, the one thing we don't know, Braith, is whether the entire Roosters Brains Trust are all on the same page. But I can guarantee you there are elements of the Roosters who are of the mind, let him go now. Now, Dick Plyce put out a statement. He said the final decision rests with Trent Robinson, the head coach. Trent's not spoken about it. Trent's obviously not going to buy into this whole argument. He's talked about making sure that Joseph stays there until the end of his contract, that he's part of the Rooster way and all the rest of it.
And just on that, so McLennan's come back and fired back with this one. I think there's more to this than meets the eye. I'm wondering if there's a salary cap issue at the Roosters. Rugby Australia won't induce Joseph to break his contract, but his agent can deal with that with a good lawyer in about 30 minutes. Joey's treatment is nothing short of horrible.
He's being deliberately provocative, McLennan. Deliberately provocative. He's just... Look, he's got a scrapbook this high, you know? They're just getting his name in the papers. He does it all on the back of rugby league. And the fact is, he's sitting there and he's provoking the Roosters to do something. And I think he's enjoying it. Rugby hasn't got this much publicity for years. And he's enjoying that, OK? And that's what that's about. He wouldn't know what the Roosters' salary cap situation is like. He's serious. How would he even know?
What about the final comment? The treatment of Joey has been nothing short of horrible. Like,
he's the bloke who's
talking about though? Like, he's going to rugby union for $5 million. He's signed a contract with his management, failing to inform the Roosters of where things were at.
Well, part of the beef the Roosters got is they suspect that the Wallaby deal was actually all done and agreed upon before he signed his last Roosters deal.
Of course.
So they feel that they've been used up in this, OK?
But he's been treated horrible.
But that McLennan doesn't know what he's talking about there. Like, seriously,
you asked South Sydney too, boys, remember who they were in negotiations with Sua'ali'i. They're adamant that he was always going to go to rugby on that one-year deal, put the clauses in there.
Yeah.
He was never seeing this deal out.
Yeah.
Well, I think South Sydney aren't surprised by what's happening here because that happened to them.
I reckon they're feeling sorry for the poor old Roosters.
Yeah, they are distressed by the behaviour. And they're really worried about the Chooks and how they're going to move on with the situation.
I think it makes absolutely no sense other than to reduce some money on their salary cap. They've got... Outside backs are pretty thin at the Roosters right now. They're using Drew Hutchison out there when they can. Paul Momirovski's currently outside line till round 22. Daniel Tupou's out with a hamstring injury. Connor Watson hasn't played. They need Sua'ali'i, if not only for depth.
Yeah.
Now, the only other interest I have here is if this discussion opens up pricks the ears of rival NRL clubs to ease salary cap pressure from the Roosters if Sua'ali'i doesn't want to go to rugby straight away. Because I know other clubs are watching.
What's also
rival clubs are watching this with interest.
Roosters will not let him go to a rival.
Well, if they need to ease some salary cap pressure, there'd be rival clubs ready to drop Sua'ali'i.
Why would they do him a favour at the moment?
Well, did you watch closely his performance on the weekend?
Yeah, but do him a favour by letting him go to another rugby league club.
But the unfortunate thing at the moment is that since all this happened, I think he had one good game, and on the weekend, what was it? 5 runs, 31 metres, something like that. If you look at the rest of the Roosters players, even on a day where they're all looking for a hole to jump into, his figures were so embarrassing. It just obviously shows you, unless there's some mystery injury we don't know about, where his head's at.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't on the park.
No.
Let's delve more into the Roosters. Is there an identity crisis there at the moment with the way that they're playing? They look. It's only one game. They won the 2 in a row, but the weekend was definitely a concern. They haven't been at their best all year.
They've been searching for their way all year. Searching for their way, OK? And Trent Robinson came out before the game and he said, I'm looking for to see who are we. I want this today's game against the Cowboys to show who are we in 2023. and it was a pretty rude answer at the end of it because they had one try late in the game, beaten 20-6. It was a really, for a team that was looking to make a statement that they were back on track, it was a real kick in the guts. And I think for the first time, a lot of the Roosters walked away really confused about where they're at. Generally, Roosters, one of the reasons I think they've been so successful for so long is when they troubleshoot their shortcomings, they generally nail what's wrong and how they fix it, and they can turn around pretty quick. And we see some clubs are very good at that. Yeah, Wayne Bennett, for example, did that with the Dolphins. Identified the start, which we spoke about last night, fixed the start, and then suddenly they've been going better. He just got it right. And the Roosters are also very good at that. But in this instance, I think they came out of that game on Sunday more confused than ever about, you know what we think we're working on and what we're trying to do, it's just not there, and they don't know how to fix it.
I think that's the biggest concern. If you watch your team play and you can't identify exactly where it went wrong, you know they're struggling, you know they're not scoring tries, and the combinations aren't what they need to be. But how do you pinpoint exactly where they are going wrong?
I have concerns over their recruitment, guys, and when I think of the great Roosters sides, I think about the most diligent, hard-working, thorough players of Fitzgibbon and Ricketson and Minicello. And I just think the recruitment, while wonderful players and talent, Sam Walker, different character. I don't see a Roosters style of player in Sam Walker. Brandon Smith, I don't see a Roosters style of player in Brandon Smith. We all spoke about, would Brandon adjust to the Sydney way off the field? On the field, we question whether he was a genuine dummy half. I don't know if he's a Roosters style of character, and I'd put Matt Lodge in that category as well.
So you think they've got the recruitment wrong? Because they have access and they've got the power to get any player they want, really. They've shown that. But you think they've just got it wrong?
No, I think they've I think they've gone down away from what made the Roosters what they are.
I think that's an absolute cop-out.
Why?
Because I'll tell you why. At the start of the season, you look at their roster, and they have got the best roster on paper. Brandon Smith survived in the Melbourne Storm system. He knows what winning's about.
Not under the spotlight in Sydney.
Not a dummy half either.
Well, maybe not a dummy half, but they made a decision. Like, you can't just say, it's a recruitment problem. At the moment, we were saying a moment ago, they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are because they don't know what direction they're being given.
I'll tell you something, though.
At the start of the season, they had all summer to make a call on their halves. They make it after 8 rounds. And they put Joey Manu in there, and you're wondering why things haven't clicked yet. They've scored 153 points this year in the 9 rounds to open the season. That's the Roosters' least amount of points scored under Trent Robinson.
There's a lack of chemistry there, Crawls.
There certainly is.
And that comes down to
it's not a roster management problem.
Yeah, well, the culture of the club is part of the recruitment. And if you're bringing in players that don't really fit under that culture of what you have already built, I would question that's where the chemistry breaks down.
Where their culture fell down was when they lost Jake Friend, they lost Boyd Cordner, and they lost Mitch Orbison.
Can I say
they
something
haven't
to that?
replaced it.
Yeah, that's my point. Roosters have always been a character first, talent second recruitment. That's been the mantra of Trent Robinson since he's been there. And I think today's point, they've probably adjusted a little bit and gone talent first, character second in their recruitment of late. The players that you spoke were all just, and I talk about not their personality, I'm talking about their talent that they brought. They were honest, open, that's what they brought to the team. They were open in what they did. Whereas these guys that are getting there, like Sua'ali'i, he sits there and he's on this contract where it's year by year, for example. And so there's always in the back of your mind, well, is this the year you're going to go? Is he really there? Is he going to... the difference between the patriot and the mercenary. And that's the difference.
In the past, the Roosters culture looked after that. That taught the players where they wanted to. But when Sam Walker, in fair income states, when Sam Walker came through the system, he was the best kid coming through. Every club wanted him. It's not that he can't play football, he's not suiting the system there. So is the problem the football they're playing, or is the problem Sam Walker?
It's not Sam Walker. It's not Sam
exactly.
Walker. We're not saying Sam Walker, but it's a problem that if you start... Look, when Matt Lodge went there, for example, and Matt Lodge has got...
Shot the lights out. Initially, but he's got that checkered history too. And everybody, given all the
mantra around what the Roosters were about and about the Roosters way and our kind of football and all the rest of it, everyone said, well, hang on, does Matt Lodge sort of suit what you guys have been preaching
Does when
for
you
love?
want to win.
Well, exactly. But you know what? And, you know, the Sydney Swans have their no dickhead policy, right? And everyone says that until they've got a dickhead that they really want. And then they'll keep him. You know? That's the way it goes.
Could be a quick fix instead of the...
But what I'm saying is they've gone away from the character-first recruitment. And it's one you can handle, one you can trust the culture. But Matt Lodge, Trent Robinson was adamant that the culture would bring Matt Lodge around, and it did. It did. But once you get a second one in, a third one in, and a fourth one in, and I don't want to go through the whole roster, but you go through... Yep. I think they've started to skewer a little bit away from where
I reckon
they were.
Yeah, maybe you're right in some respects, but I think it's the football they're playing on the field at the moment that's letting them down.
Showing out of that. That's how it's showing
they look confused.
All right, what about Mitchell Pearce? There's rumours that he may return to the NRL, and those rumours are saying the Roosters. Is this a real possibility, or is it not?
Look, there's always been talk about, I said this last night, there's always been talk about Mitch Pearce returning for a swan song season at the Roosters. From almost the moment he left the club, that was there. Then when he went to France, everyone thought, oh, well, that's over now. He has come out yesterday and he said he would love to come back and have a final season in the NRL. There's still a great amount of admiration for Mitch Pearce at the Roosters. I think they'd have him back in a heartbeat. I think he goes back and he plays 14 off the bench, for an example. And I think they could find a spot for him in that place.
This picked up some momentum in the pre-season, guys. Just when there was a little bit of still uncertainty around Luke Keary's ongoing concussion health. As far as how long has his career got left to go, and could Mitch come into the Roosters system and, as Kenny said, play in that 14 role as a backup? Obviously the Tigers have had a swing. Mitch has said that he wants to play this season out in Catalan, but I wouldn't rule it out.
And he's still in good shape. He's still playing well.
Yep, he's been enjoying himself over in Europe, and
not the Mitch I know.